Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pantheon Tea. This is your one-stop shop for all Webtoon-related drama, which I don't know if it's necessarily drama. Sometimes we just talk about the most random stuff on here. So in this sort of live stream, we dive into different controversial Webtoon topics, creators, companies, and everything else that's involved in the Webtoon world. So if you have something juicy you want to discuss, leave a comment below and link the subject matter if possible. You guys, sometimes it's hard for me to talk about something if I really don't know what's going on. So the way this stream works is we'll begin by discussing the current scandalizing topic. Is anyone even reading Webtoons? Then we'll have a brief Q&A after we finish covering the topic where you can ask me whatever you want. Even if you want me to give you a shout out, I can do that. And then at the very end, we kind of just, give shout outs to everyone. So if this all sounds great to you, then I would suggest grabbing a snack, a drink, your headphones, or whatever else you need as we dive into this crazy topic. So I can't remember if I introduced this to you guys a few streams ago, but Webtoon Tea now has an intro. I feel so professional. So today's topic, we're basically going to be talking about readership. Like, are people on Webtoons? Where are the people at? Like, what is going on with Webtoons? So a brief disclaimer, as usual, everything that's said in here is Pantheon Talk's opinion. If you need to pause the video to read what we say there, then go ahead. So now, Webtoon originals versus Webtoon Canvas. Are both of them dead? Is one of them thriving and the other one not thriving? Like, what's going on in the Webtoon world? It's so just based off of what I feel the community feels, I feel like a lot of people kind of feel that Webtoon originals are really succeeding and Webtoon Canvas is kind of the redheaded stepchild. And that's completely fine if you feel that way. Sometimes we kind of always look at situations, in my opinion, as the grass is always greener sort of situation. But I feel like as we dive deeper into this, we're going to see that maybe the grass isn't always greener. It might be green for some people, but is it green for everyone? Oh, Magnetic Salt, hello! Thank you for joining the stream. I don't think we've gotten a chance to chat in a while. Also, what are you guys drinking? Like, I have a white raspberry tea. I put it in the freezer to give it a little bit of a chill so that I could, have the best drinking experience. So I'm very excited about this tea. It's so good. I almost only had water and I was going to be really disappointed. So let's dive into Webtoon originals. So when we think about this, are Webtoon originals gaining readers? I've really been paying attention to kind of like sub counts and whatnot, trying to decide like, are counts going up? Are counts going down? And what I'll say, for the most part, I feel like a lot of the counts are staying the same. Obviously, I can't look at every single person, every single comic to see if they're gaining readership. But I don't think people are gaining readership like they were possibly during the, a few years ago when everybody was at home. I feel as things are kind of normalizing a little bit. A lot of people don't have as much time as they did possibly when they were able to just like sit at home and work and read Webtoons. So I think readerships are still steady on originals, but they're not like booming. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, if there's a lot of people, like let's look at Lore Olympus, for example. It has a ton of subscribers. So there's tons of people on Webtoons. Why aren't people finding the series? Like, there's a lot of series that are on Webtoons that are similar within the same genre, the same sphere, and there's some stories that are just good in general. And we're specifically talking about originals. So it makes you wonder, like, why aren't people finding these series? And I feel that a lot of the older series are kind of wrapping themselves up. Like, I think last year there was like Age Matters wrapped up, which was really big. There was that one that Snail Lords made. I can't remember what it's called at the moment, but it wrapped up and it was really big. And so there's a lot of series that I think people like joined Webtoons for and were reading that have ended. And it's kind of like people aren't finding the series that they really want to find, which kind of connects to our previous stream about how there's no sort of like Webtoon recommendation engineer software or something like that that could really help people. But it makes me wonder if Webtoons is leaning towards being more of fast fashion sort of sense. Like, are they making their stories with longevity in mind? Like, does Webtoons want stories to be 10 years long, or do they want stories that are really short that will just draw people in sporadically? So we've got a few comments. Oh, Adagon has milk. Oh my good grief. I cannot just drink milk. That's so wild to me. Huey? Oh, man, I feel like I asked you how to pronounce your name and I cannot remember. They are drinking just plain old water. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not against water, but I'm just like, it's such a boring drink. Universe is drinking a Diet Pepsi. I am a cola boy, but we'll let you slide since it's your first stream. Josie is having a iced cafe latte. That sounds so good. Adagon says FastPass does make it. Okay, FastPass does make it hard to get into a series, honestly. I could agree with that, Adagon. I feel like FastPass is kind of, like, it can really interrupt the reading flow. Magnetic Salt is drinking coffee. Hugh said, a lot of Webtoons are solely relying on word of mouth for promotion. So let's take a moment to talk about that. I want to agree with that because Webtoon Originals, there are so many originals on there that it's kind of weird that we only ever see the same ones constantly advertised. But that's not uncommon in the publishing house world. Like when you look at bookstores, like if you go into a bookstore, a lot of those books are not being advertised. Only the ones that the publishing house deems to be the most popular or the most attractive do they really market to the mainstream audience. So what I find, so I can kind of see that a little bit more in the books, like book sphere, like publishing house world, and let me explain. Because they are like more so putting books in stores, so a lot of their funds for a project go into physical merchandise for the customer. And so even though like there's social media now and there are like websites, I feel that a lot of these publishing houses are not at the level that Webtoons is, where it has a built-in fan base to simply just throw advertisements on their own site and fans will see it and then go read the story. I think that it's really interesting that the Webtoon originals, like all of them, don't get advertisement. At least from what I can tell. I feel that I just see the same thing over and over again. So let me ask you guys, what do y'all see when y'all get on Webtoons? Do y'all see like the same series being advertised all the time? Or do y'all see things that are like diverse? There's a bunch of different creators being advertised. I know during launch week, like those series will get advertised, but I'm talking about beyond that. Let's see. Adagong said, we're definitely gradually seeing the end of Webtoon's golden age. I think, okay, I have thoughts on that I don't know if I want to necessarily get into at the beginning of the stream just yet. But I think Webtoons is still in its golden age, to be honest. What I think the issue actually is that they're unsure of the direction that they want to go. I think boomed really quickly as a company, much faster than they thought they would, and it caused them to have to accelerate a lot of things. So I don't think there was some things that were within the structure at the moment. Adagong said Webtoon should definitely organize their website and stories better so we can differentiate easier between webtoons that are longer to read or are just short panel pages per chapter. 100% agree. Universe said, I honestly drink both, so we are cool, my dude. Okay. I mean, I do like the mango Pepsi, and I feel horrible saying that as a true Coke fan. Like, I'm kind of a Coke connoisseur. Like, honestly, the little Apollo avatar shouldn't have a glass there. He should just have a bottle of cola. But, like I'm one of those people that's like, yeah, I can tell that this Coke is flat, or I can tell that this Coke came from McDonald's, or this Coke came from somewhere, which let me tell y'all, I'm sorry for the side tangent, but the Coke from McDonald's is legit. Like, it is the best Coke on the planet, and I don't know what they do to it, but it like warms my entire essence. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I'm having a Coke from McDonald's. Like, I'll just go there, sit in the lobby, I don't know what to call it, sit in the restaurant and be like, can I get a large Coke? And just like go and refill it until I'm full. Hughes said, traditional publishing houses normally tend to only promote a new series for the first couple of months of its release. They will only continue to promote if it's doing well. I actually mentally block out the banner when I'm using Webtoons. Oh no! I look at the banner because I like to have these discussions with you guys. I feel like it's helpful for me to pay attention to stuff like that. So like when I bring it up, I'm not just like pulling things completely left field. So I think it's really, really weird that like I get pushing things that are popular, but I'm also like, if you're a publishing house and it doesn't cost you anything to push other series to like continue to expand readership base on your site and expand like people being on the site longer, it just makes more sense to me for you to do that strategically. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say, for instance, you got on to read the newest episode of Lore Olympus. You get on, you read it, you finish it in, like, let's say 10 minutes, because you're, you know, whatever. And then after that, you go back to the homepage and you're, like, looking for a new series. The first thing most readers see is the banner. So I'm just like, oh my good grief. And this is why I feel like if they had recommended a recommendation engine or whatever it's called for Webtoons, like people would be on that thing all the time. Like people would be on it like people are on YouTube. Universe said, I think the Webtoon is becoming oversaturated with the same story over and over again, that it's making it hard for new things to emerge and stick. It's like Webtoon isn't willing to take on stories that are outside the normal Webtoon standard that we've been seeing for the last 3 years. I've been publishing on Webtoon Canvas since 2016, and things have definitely shifted. And not entirely for the good, but it's not all bad either. It's just not ideal for the majority. Ooh, I really like that perspective. Universe, that's some deep insight there. And this is what I'm talking about. This is why I like to have these live stream discussions, because we get viewpoints like this. You've been on it since 2016. That is crazy to me. That's like, what, 8 years? You've been on there for 8 years. That is a wealth of knowledge. So I'm not necessarily... So I think we'll discuss this later, but I think that Webtoons is a great platform for any creator to grow and build their brand, build their fan base. It is a good jumping off point for anyone, whether if you in the long run decide you want to work with Webtoons and become a Webtoon original, or you are happy with your relationship of just posting on there. I think all of that is great. What I find to be really strange is that people view Webtoons as like the end-all be-all. It's the only option. And it can feel that way, I think, for a lot of creators. But I think it just, like, the dream is to get picked up. And then when you're not picked up, there's a little bit of resentment there because it might make you feel like you don't deserve it or that, you know, something's wrong with you. But I think it's not always the issue is with you. Sometimes publishing houses just don't pick a comic. Like, it's not a good time for them to pick something. But I don't think you should limit yourself to just webtoons, like we talked about in our news stream. Anyway, we talked about the fact that you can reach out to publishing houses, which, guys, I'm working on something that's coming very soon. Hopefully, we can get some insight into, pitch meetings and being able to like actually reach out to these companies to build your portfolio and build your own fan base, that sort of thing, or how to get an agent. I've been doing a lot of research, so we'll have a stream about that in the near future. Adding saying, most originals I see tend to be advertised rather shortly and abruptly. Hugh said, the popular series on Canvas are pretty formulaic too, mostly slice of life BLGL. Interesting. Novelist Nickie. Hello, Novelist Nickie. I don't think I've ever seen you on before. So glad to have you. It's the same stuff, and now in the Canvas recommendation, it seems like it's mostly series over 50k views. Even there, I see the same series. Magnetic Salt said, I see a whole lot of stuff on the front page personally, but I mainly use the phone app, so I'm not sure if there's a difference between it and the desktop site. The desktop interface it's likely they copied the mobile interface directly onto the desktop. So I do see different stuff on there. Let me clarify. I do see different stuff, but I will say I see a majority of the same things advertised to me over and over again for specific series when I'm on their site. So with all of this being in mind, what I'm trying to say is I think that Webtoons is taking a direction of making stories more fast fashion, in the sense that, like, so with fast fashion, the concept is you get a design, you make it based off of another popular design, but it's lesser quality, and then you sell it to the public at a cheaper price, and the public is happy because they've received what they wanted for less quality, but it doesn't last as long, but they're excited to have it. Like, they didn't want to spend $300 to get that jacket. They could spend $50, and so they're super excited about it, but it'll disintegrate in 2 years. Whereas the high quality one could last 10 years. So I think what Webtoons is doing is applying that same concept to some stories where they have this specific formula that they know is successful, and they're like, okay, how can we apply this to other stories? It's the whole meme of copy my homework but make it look different. So it'll be like, yeah, this story, the MC had black hair, but let's make it red in the next story, and let's make it also only 50 episodes. So it's very much that copy-paste sort of mentality, which is fine, but I feel like it's really, really overwhelming the site. But what I think is what we have to remember is Webtoons is probably doing this because it's working. And from a creator standpoint, it's very frustrating because you're like, there's no diversity in the stories. There are so many diverse stories on Canvas. Like, why aren't you making better decisions here and throwing up like, okay, we get it. You want to do a copy paste, but also can you write an original sentence as well? So I think that's where it's frustrating on the Canvas side or on the creator side that wants to be a part of originals. But I think it's hard on the original side too, because the originals that come from America, a lot of them do have unique styles. A lot of them have unique stories, but they're not getting promoted like that as well. But these copy paste stories are. So I think that's where the frustration comes in. But it all kind of boils down to what are the readers saying. And so this is where we journey into my favorite place, Reddit. Okay, I swear, I'm like a grandpa that literally just found Reddit. And so a lot of our discussions lately have been based around Reddit. So I'm sorry, guys, but it's just been really interesting to see like a collective's honest opinion on some of this stuff. Let's see. Hugh said, so just like the copy and paste isekai light novels that Japanese publishing houses churn out. In Webtoon's case, it's reincarnation stories. Exactly. People really, really, really love like if you find a fan base within your own company and it's just working, like it's just making you money, it's kind of like, why not invest in it? So I understand the business model. I understand that side, but I'm also kind of like, is it going to last out in the long run? Oh, hello, Taylor. So glad that you could be here. Taylor said, and it only works until you have enough tops fall apart and you realize you're better off investing in good clothes. Exactly. When you put on that shirt that you're so excited about and then you pull it out the wash and it's like turned into dust, you're just like, that was a waste of $50. Universe said, I've been lucky enough to be one of the popular ones, but I'm currently on hiatus because of medical issues. Oh no, we're so sorry. I hope you have a speedy recovery. But I've had the opportunity to talk with Webtoon editors in 2019 and ended up getting rejected when I pitched my comic, despite being a top 5 fantasy comic for like a year and gaining over 100k subs from their promos, but my comic wasn't what they were looking for. So, okay, so can we take a moment to just address that? That is an amazing accomplishment, Universe. Like, you have a wealth of knowledge and you have like the credentials to back it up. So that is definitely something to be proud of. Listen, if I could be y'all's booking agent, I totally would. Like, I would be out there finding deals for you guys because like with what you have, I feel like any like publishing house, whether it be small or large, would love to have your 100k subs like buy product from them and then potentially buy other product from them because readers love to buy in bulk. Like, who doesn't love a good book haul that's a reader? And so I will just say this to you, Universe, like, we would love to read your series. Please leave us a link down below in the comments after the stream so that everybody can find it and give you all the love and support. But I'll just say this, like, keep, chipping away at it, that you're going to get picked up by somebody for sure. Like, I have all the faith for you. Oh no, Tay, what's wrong with Reddit? Is something wrong with Reddit that I don't know about? Reddit, the social media all other social media users look down upon. Oh, is that what it is? I feel like it's so wild on there. Okay, let me close the slideshow and open up the... Yes. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys. There is a thread on there and it's entitled Webtoon is Dead. So let's look at this opening paragraph. It says, I don't know if it's just me, but Webtoon has become so boring and dead lately. And I'm taking this on from the perspective that these are readers, people who are just reading series, not necessarily creators. All the good Webtoons have either been completed or stuck on indefinite hiatus, and all the new Webtoons have the same boring trope repeated over and over again. So let's pause there. So this is why I think that Webtoons is doing the copy paste, because people are attracted to that style, because if you're clicking on the same thing, then likely you're looking to read something that's similar. That's just my opinion. So, take it as how you want to take it. Like time traveling, historical magic nonsense, or bullied versus bully. The app itself used to be enjoyable, but it seems like some kind of money scam nowadays, especially with how much they advertise Fast Pass and Daily Pass, and sometimes even both within a single Webtoon. Even the Webtoon comments section has drastically changed. Even the popular Webtoons now barely get more than 1,000 comments. I don't think there's any OG readers left who read Webtoons, but if there is any, let me know your opinion. So, things have changed a lot for Webtoons as a platform. They had that boom, and I think they're hitting a lull. And so I feel like maybe they're trying to figure out how to offset the growth that they had, because they likely got a huge amount of increased readership and increased revenue from that boom. So I'm just curious, like maybe people left because they weren't able to find what they wanted, which goes back to how people aren't finding the stuff that they want, which is like, please, Webtoons, like if I'm reading something obscure on your site, I want other obscure stuff like this. And I thought about it. I remember somebody mentioned art style one time, and I didn't necessarily agree with it completely. I understood the sentiment, but I do think, thinking on it more, Webtoons are a visual medium, and if someone enjoys, very different art styles from what Webtoons is known for, then having a category for that would also be cool and help people to find unique stories that are really cool, like coolly designed in their visual aesthetic. So the more I think about it, the more I feel like there's more and more missed opportunities. So let's look at a few comments. I think I have... From what I remember when I was looking at this earlier, I think I need to scroll a little bit, because they started talking about a series and I wasn't sure what they were talking about, but okay, so this person, they said, my main problem with Webtoon, to be honest, I don't mean to be biased or anything, but I generally do not like Korean style of storytelling and their tropes. And unfortunately for me, it seems like the webcomic Webtoon medium is dominated by Korea. I really wish there was a platform specifically centered around Western webcomics. So what I find to be the most interesting about this comment in of itself is the fact that they're specifically looking for, they said they don't like the formula of storytelling that a lot of these imported stories are using. And so it makes me feel that there are people that are looking for stories that aren't the copy paste. It's just really hard for them to find them. And so I just want to say, if you were watching Netflix and you couldn't find anything, after so long of not being able to find anything, what do? You turn it off and you move on to the next story. So I'm just saying this in terms of keeping an open mind. There are people out there that are willing to read unique original stories. It's just all about being able to find them. Hugh said, can't speak for everyone, but most of the time I am not actively seeking out wild and original story ideas. I tend to stick to stories of similar genre because I enjoy that genre. So Hugh, I feel that a lot of people 100% would agree with you. Most people are looking for stories that are similar to the stories that they want to read. So it really makes me feel like they don't want necessarily a copy paste, which I can't speak for you, but I think you want something in the same realm. Like for me, I really enjoyed Game of Thrones, and so I want to read another one. I would be interested to read another political fantasy with dragons, and I'm not a big dragon person, but I would love for someone to recommend me something like that. And so it makes me really feel like it's just not necessarily doing a good enough job of breaking up what they're recommending. Recommend similar stuff, but also make sure it's different. The premise can't be the exact same thing. Hugh said, sometimes I drop a story randomly in the middle because I got bored or I just forgot about the story. See, that's another thing too. Are the stories able to hold someone's interest? Universe said, I also base my love for a story on characters. If characters aren't compelling, I'm gone. See, I think that that's really important too, because a lot a lot of stories that I've read on Webtoons are very lore heavy within the first few episodes that it is a chore to get through. And I think that's also part of the issue with being able to connect with readers. People really connect, I think, based off of characters and theme. So if these two things aren't strong, no matter how good your plot is, it's probably not going to connect with readers. That's just my opinion. You know, people, I think the reason I think this too is because I feel like for a novel, like you can go a little harder on the plot, but for Webtoons, it's all about the characters. It's all about the theme. It's those expressions, those emotions, those deep-seated, like, drama that's like so far down in the character that we just want to like reach out and give them a hug. Like, that is the type of storytelling that I think Webtoon readers are looking for. Adagong said, I do find it hard sometimes to continue a story, and the unorganized user face of Webtoons does not help. Magnetic Salt said, I think a very large chunk of Webtoons problems comes down to discoverability / curation. I would agree with that. Universe said, yeah, Webtoons should really get a better user face and search system. Its leaks better from what it was, but it's still not great. Lore dumping is an immediate audience killer. Yeah, we all 100% agree. So let's look at a few more things. So this person actually recommends Canvas, which I think is really cool. And then they go into like, like what series should I read on Canvas and whatnot. But we're looking for a few comments in particular that are really going to be about like the reader experience. So this person says, as an artist who has grown I was trying to interpret the reading. As an artist who has grown up with a lot of shonen, I get what you mean. But I would not necessarily say it's pushing more. There is a demand for it. Romance and drama are overall really popular genres. I am not really using the app or anything, so I am blind to what Webtoon tried to feature all over again. But if you want action series, you need to search for what your heart desires. There are plenty of comics in action portion of Webtoon. The reason I want to highlight this is when I read it, it was talking about the fact that Webtoons pushes romance and drama, but they do have an action section, a fantasy section. And so it's always interesting to me when people say like Webtoons is for girls or Webtoons is for women or Webtoons is, really for like a softer audience, but they do have action-based stories on there. But I think it's all about the marketing that is being presented to people, to the mainstream audience. So I do feel, that's why I was saying earlier, like the marketing for originals, there's tons of series on there that could really use some promotion. And so this kind of coincides with what I think people feel about Webtoons. It's really geared towards romance and drama. So it makes me feel like if that is the case, they need to do a better job of advertising the action series that they do have. And we do see advertisements for certain series. Like I've seen advertisements for Doombreaker, Omniscient Reader, Unordinary. So they do advertise those series. It's just overall, I think once people come in for maybe one or two of those series, they're looking for more and they can't find them. So I feel like we've really been uncovering, I guess, that the user interface is hard. But all I want to say is, thinking about this, we have to remember that some of those people were once on Canvas. So it is that not always greener, grass is always greener on the other side sort of thing. We have to remember that creators, all of us, want to be successful, and even though Webtoons may not be promoting them, creators can go out of their way to promote their own series, which is really hard. I mean, if people are spending 70 hours a week working on their stories, do they really have time to promote it as well? So it is really hard, and I can definitely see like why people don't promote it, but it's also one of those things where you just gotta do what you gotta do, unfortunately. Universe said, if you need to dump lore, put it in a conversation between characters, but try to like make it so integrated into your world that it's just background noise that's constant, you know? Universe, I really agree with that. I think it's really interesting when you see exposition done right, because it makes it to the point where you don't even know it's exposition. You think it's just something happening in the story. Like it, because sometimes there's these moments, especially in fantasy series, where they like take you out of the story and they have like these, I don't know what to call it, graphics, PowerPoints, where they're kind of explaining like, long ago, when the world was full of just humans, and then a star streamed across the galaxy. And this star gave all people power, and they became what is known as awakened ones. Like, I'm like, okay, could we have just like had this in a conversation though, Solo Leveling? Did I call them out? I'm sorry if I did. But I'm just being ridiculous over here. Like, please don't pay me any mind. Los, hello. Has anybody thought of creating a Patreon page solely for creators who are rejected by Webtoons? At least you will get paid, and if 5 or more creators transfer their 10K subs, you replicate Webtoons. Oh, that's actually really big brain. Oh, that like my brain literally just stopped. It was like, that is really, really smart. My only thing about that is I think there's a lot of like logistics to work out with that, where to make everything fair, because obviously people would want to get paid fairly for what they're bringing. So then it kind of makes me feel like if you have 10K and I have 100K and we join this Patreon, we shouldn't be getting paid the same thing. And so it also makes me feel like if you have 10K, why aren't you getting patrons of your own? I don't know. That is a good idea. It is definitely something that I feel like could be workshopped into something super amazing. Lols, maybe we'll have to talk. Universe said, the advertisement for Webtoon has shifted to Korean Webtoons more than the Canvas comics or originals for the US branch. And it's simply because that was their original goal when they came here. Oh, is this tea? Are we getting tea? Can you elaborate on this? Like, I was assuming that they were just kind of trying to do a world domination sort of thing. Universe, I need answers. Taylor said, Webtoons also takes forever to make. They're a challenging medium, and when you have to trend chase, you also can't get stories out following what's in trend before readers have moved on. Oh, that's actually, I agree with that. It is really hard to like jump on the bandwagon for a trend when the trend is over by the time your Webtoon is ready to go out. Oh, Hugh, thanks for getting on. Guys, I think this was Hugh's first live stream. Everybody give them some love in the chat, big hearts and everything. I hope you can make it to another stream. Really appreciate you being on. Universe said, Webtoons do take forever to make, and the fatigue is no joke either. It's better to just try and stick it out with your idea and make it for yourself first. Universe, I love the motivation there. I really do. I think that being able to commit to yourself and commit to your story is probably the biggest hurdle that you can have as a creator. And I feel like a lot of people struggle with the commitment because it's kind of like once you actually start the work, you realize that it might have been harder than what you imagine in your head. So I just wanted to, I'm going to link that Reddit article. I did not realize how long we had been talking. And we have a little bit more left in the stream to go through. But there's a lot of different points on there of people basically pointing out that they really are, since a lot of these big series have ended, Webtoons has kind of entered into this weird gap area where I think they've plateaued and they're trying to figure out how to go to the next area. And I think people are there. They're just waiting to come back. A lot of people might have taken a break, but I think they'll come back once they start to hear things are picking up again. Once the next big series happens. Because what I wanted to talk about myself was when we think about once Lore Olympus ends, once, what's that other series that's really big? Let's Play is gone. So Let's Play is left. Lore Olympus is about to end. What is Webtoons going to do on the American side? I feel like they know that they have to have another flagship series in the US. The US has really brought them a lot of broad appeal, in my opinion. Internationally, Rachel is everywhere. And I mean, so is the Let's Play creator, but she's not a Webtoon creator anymore. But I'm just saying, I think if they're being smart, they can see the value in growing the US branch. And that's why I think that they'll be going public soon as a company in the US. So let's talk about Webtoon Canvas now. The battle is on. So we talked about Webtoon Originals, and we know that even they're struggling on their side of things. But we already kind of know that Webtoon Canvas is struggling. But we're going to dive a little deeper into this. Yes, Universe is here with all the facts. We love it. We love it. We want to pick Universe's brain. Universe said, I only just recently taken this to heart, so it's easier said than done. But the mindset shift to the idea is so freeing, and I find myself with more motivation than when I was constantly worrying about keeping up with trends. I really appreciate you being so transparent about how you're feeling, especially as a successful creator. The thing here is I feel that you really have to really love what you're doing to put up with this amount of pain. Sometimes I think it's a little bit of torture, and it's rough. It's rough to feel constant rejection. It's rough to feel like your story's not good enough, the project that you're pouring everything into. And then when you try things like following a trend or something, you're like, what's going on? It didn't help at all. And that's when I say, you should just have a delicious cola from McDonald's. Oh, Universe has tea. So they said, I've just watched a lot of gossip YouTube videos, and I also noticed more webtoons from Korea being pushed over originals that started on Canvas. Ooh. Universe. What is this? So I need to do a little more research because maybe I'm missing out on some videos. I haven't seen any gossip lately. So if you guys don't know, I try to keep my pulse on the Webtoon gossip. Obviously. So Webtoon Canvas. I think, to be honest, this is just me being very honest. A lot of readers aren't interested. And it's not because of quality. It's not because of bad storytelling. I think it's just the way the platform is structured that they don't know to switch over to Canvas. And that is another issue on a fundamental level. Again, my opinion here. But I feel that sometimes when people hear like, oh, these are amateur comics, or these are hobbyist comics, or these are not Webtoon official comics, that it makes them feel like it's not worth their time. And so I feel like there needs to be a little bit of marketing there in terms to make people understand that no, some of these people are professional artists. Some of these people are working really hard to produce high quality content for you to enjoy. Like, it's not that hard, I think, to showcase Canvas more often, in a sense, to make people stay on the app that makes you money. So, like, they have the, what is it called? The ambassador program. They can have an ambassador program for Canvas. Set up something that really like highlights all of these like really cool Canvas stories, and like force the audience on originals to go over to Canvas. What I also think is killing Canvas is money. So after the program ended, I feel like that was probably one of Webtoon's, I understand why they might have ended it. Like, we don't have access to their financial report, so I can only assume that it wasn't worth them continuing it from a financial standpoint. Like, they weren't gaining anything from paying people, in their opinion. I mean, they could be gaining like more loyalty from the creators that want to work with them in the future, but I understand like costs over profits sort of situation. So my thing about this is, if you're not going to do that, then maybe figure out other ways to make creators on Canvas side feel more appreciated. And I think if there was more marketing for Canvas, that would really go a long way for Canvas creators. Taylor said, if only Canvas could get the treatment Book Talk gave indie publishing. It's not a lesser medium, just a different route to getting your work out. I would love for Canvas to have like a glow up on Book Talk, and then like, wouldn't it be crazy if like all of us were able to somehow like force on like TikTok or Instagram or something, like force growth on the Canvas side where like we're doing big numbers like original creators. Like, wouldn't that be crazy? That would be really taking self-publishing into our own hands. And that's kind of what I want every creator to have. I really want people to like be able to grab the bull by the horns and like make things happen on their side. Like, it's hard work, and it is a daunting task when you're working on these stories to be able to like network and market and, you know, be your own accountant and all of that stuff. But it's so worth it. I'm waiting for Canvas supremacy. Artsumi Shay, hello! Another new face. So excited to have you on the stream. I like that Webtoon has a devoted Instagram for Canvas. I follow it, and they do their greenlit series. I don't know how effective that's been, however. So I will say the Webtoon Canvas social media is very cool, and it's, let me look at it real quick. I'm going to pull it up. I think that it's definitely great that they do have a Canvas team. They do have people that are working on that side, and so it's not just like a wasteland. So they do stuff for it, which they just announced, you know, the next Canvas Creator Summit. So if you haven't signed up for that already, go ahead. But I definitely think that there needs to be a little more manpower on that side, just in terms of what could really make things go viral. Like, what could really make some fun interactive content for Canvas. Like, they have, again, the Webtoon Ambassador Program. Where's the Webtoon Canvas Ambassador Program? Like, they had this really fun video the other day, and it was like, we're Webtoon readers, and they just said like something random. Like, there could be something so fun from Webtoon Canvas side. Like, we're Webtoon Canvas creators, and we're, you know, whatever. Like, it would be such a fun thing to do. Or they have, sometimes on their YouTube channel, they'll have like reviewers talk about different stories and compare them to each other. Like, what is his name? Shy Chef and Chibi Reviews, they did like a few collabs where they like talked about two different stories compared to each other. That's what I would like to see from the Canvas side of things. Like, it's really not anything extra for them to do, but it would help to grow that community and really shed light on that side of storytelling. And they don't do any work. All they have to do is have somebody watch a 10-minute video and then be like, yeah, this is good. No, y'all need to edit it. I don't think that's a lot to ask for. Universe said, Canvas is a nightmare to navigate unless your comic gets promoted or you're a big fish, so to speak. Even my big comic didn't gain many subs unless it was promoted, so getting discovered. Webtoon Canvas is definitely trying, but it's unfortunately with the amount of comics on the app and the interface, it's really hard to break out without help. I agree. That's why I'm like Webtoon Canvas Ambassador Program. I see Webtoon as the same way, but they aren't taking advantage of it. Thank you, Shay. I really appreciate that. So, what I also think could help Canvas is a lot of creators are kind of becoming disillusioned and they're leaving the platform. I think when the Let's Play creator left, when she returns, and if her launch for her next series is successful, I think a lot of creators are going to be like, why am I not doing this? And I'm talking about original and Canvas side. Like, Leanne leaving was probably the most boss move. Or I should say Mongi. Mongi leaving was probably the most boss move that I wish I was making content back then, because we would have been eating so good during those months. Like, I was stalking that in my free time because it's such a big deal, because Webtoons has a monopoly pretty much. Like, Webtoons and Tapas more or less has a monopoly on the US webcomic industry. And so for a big creator to tell them no and then be like, fine, I don't need that series, I'm going to risk it all on a new series, I think was kind of inspiring for a lot of creators and kind of woke them up that if this big creator isn't being treated right, then I need to be on my stuff when I'm working with these people. Like, they are not doing me a favor. This is a business. So we are going to get into this a little bit more after we look at our Reddit article. But let me there's a few comments. So let's look and see what was said. Universe said, I agree, Canvas does need to step it up and kind of separate itself from originals. Like, it needs to find its own identity, but I don't think they can change, though, because it's profitable for them. So I do think Canvas could find its own identity. And listen, if I was in those boardroom meetings or I was on the Canvas team, I have tons of ideas that I feel like are just like really easy to implement and wouldn't be more work on the team. Like I said earlier, I would go the route of like making the community do the work and then posting or reaping the benefits of what the community makes. But let's look at this Reddit article. Here. So, Death of Canvas. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. This top comment or the initiation of the conversation, they say, I have two monetized Canvas series. Last month, I garnered over 490,000 views. My payout was $100 this month. Anyone new looking to make some money on Webtoons with their comic ideas are better off making your own site or going elsewhere. Don't bother with Canvas. Use it to maybe help build your platform, and that's all. What's interesting about this is that's a lot of views. And for you to only get $100, like, what is the pay rate on this? I find that to be kind of alarming and a little bit wild in the sense that if you're this big on Canvas where you're getting that many views, but your payout is only $100, then it really is just, you're literally using them for marketing. Like, you're not using them to gain money. You're not using them for a wage or anything. It's for marketing. And that's just strange. But what's even more strange about this, there was another comment. Okay, this one right here. My comic had over 600K views last month, and I can confirm that the ad revenue is shockingly low. But Webtoons is the biggest page to grow your comic, and the views and potential fan base are unbeatable right now. You don't have good chances to grow on Tapas. Yes, I tried it out. And their ink/ad program is a joke. There are no other pages where you can grow a large fan base in a short time. For example, Webcomics app pestered me with messages on IG and asked me to upload my comic there. The page is almost dead since they introduced a system to make readers pay for the newest episode. Webtoons is the #1 online comics platform at the moment. Time will tell if this might change in the future. The idea to build your own website is great, but keep in mind that people tend to stay on the site where they are already consuming. You will lose a good amount of your fan base if you stop uploading on Webtoons. I have over 42K followers on IG, Instagram, and I barely get new readers from there. People leave likes, but that's all. Most of them simply don't want to switch to another site. That's just my experience. What's really interesting about this is a lot of things. It's really crazy to me that you're getting these are huge numbers. Like, I feel like if you were getting this amount of views on YouTube, you would be making, you would be able to pay your rent at least. I'm not monetized or anything, but it just kind of blows my mind that the views are so low. What is happening? Not views, the payout is so low and the views are so high. So Shay said, yo, I'm totally considering that making a website isn't that hard. Oh yeah, definitely, Shay. Please make your website and then let us know. I would love to throw you up in a community post. Magnetic Salt said, honestly, that post is my point of view entirely. Shay said, Patreon can pay you with exclusive content, 100%. Universe said, unfortunately, that is very true. I used to get over 200K a month with views, and I'd only get $100. I used to make $800 a month in the beginning of 2017. What? They just kept cutting the funds and raising the bar, which led me to overwork and overstress. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm sorry. It's blowing my mind that was the amount of money that they were giving. Those are some really big numbers. I don't understand. I'm kind of flabbergasted to have someone in chat confirming this, but I'm gonna try and move past that. It's really, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm creators, when you're dealing with a company, they are a business. Make sure that you look out for yourself. Don't feel that you owe any company anything. You need to do what is the smartest thing for you, whether it be more money, whether it be marketing, whether it be not working with them. Whatever is going to work for you at the end of the day is what I think every creator should do. So looking back at this comment, what I wanted to break down was this creator touched on 2 other companies. They talked about Tapas. They said that the ink/ad program isn't great. And they also talked about the Webcomics app and how their structure is really structured around making money, and it's not great for the creator either. So Webtoons is the #1 place to build the platform. And so a lot of people on these other sites, when they hit a paywall, they stop reading. It's not even, so I've paid before on like Webtoons or Tapas and some other comic platforms. What I don't like is everything is a la carte. Why is there no subscription? Allow me access to the comics. And I know, like do a Netflix thing. I feel like that would be more helpful to a lot of people, because these paywalls just aren't working. That's just my opinion. That's all I can say about it. Like, the paywall thing, the readers do not like it. Universe said, my goal isn't Webtoon Originals anymore. What? I'd be interested to know what your goal is, Universe. If you need a book agent. I'm kidding. I wouldn't be that's totally a joke. No one hit me up to be a book agent, please. I don't know anything about that. Hit up a professional. Adagong said, honestly dumbfounded how poorly Webtoon pays its creators. That's really crazy. I agree, Adagong. Universe said, it'd be nice, but it's not needed for me to push forward. Yeah, I feel, Universe, that you are right around the corner to finding something amazing. Novelist Nickie. I really like saying that. Usually I don't say both names, but like you and Magnetic Salt, I just love it. Novelist Nickie. I would never be an original. I couldn't handle censoring my story. Nickie, what's going on in your story? I need to check that out. Please send me a comment or a DM so I can start reading the juicy drama of your story. Nickie said, I want to tell my comic the way I want. Webtoons likes to take my chapters down for violating the guidelines, and let me tell you, it's nothing scandalous. That's interesting. Maybe somebody's reporting you then. Universe said, that's another point too. I don't want them to change my story to be cookie cutter. Y'all, I need to read these stories. Apparently, y'all are like getting into the nitty gritty. I've got time this week. Hi, Blue. So glad you could be here. Adagong said, oh, you're just saying hello. I was like, what are you saying? Universe said, it's a hit or a miss with those takedowns, because like, look at some of the originals. Like, those violate guidelines and yet they stay up. But my shirtless scene gets slammed. Okay. So, Universe, what I will say about this, which I think I've mentioned it before, and you're free to disagree. All of you are free to disagree. But I don't think originals have the same guidelines as Canvas. I think Canvas has a blanket contract that is basically gives Webtoons the right to take down any series for any reason. Like, I think that the guidelines in the Webtoon legal document is so vague that it allows them to take down even the most innocent thing for some sort of infraction. With originals, this is what I'm saying. If they offer the contract to you, you can be like, no, I don't want to be censored. That's what Mangi did. She was like, no. I feel like Mangi was probably on their butt being like, no, you will not censor my story. People want the juicy drama, and people do. Like Mangi's, what are they called? Where you like get things funded? Those things, she gets funded quickly. Like, girl is doing the thing. Like, she has her books. She has a game app, a video game. She's doing all the things. And she's out here, like, getting her own movie deals. Like, Mangi is doing the work. So that's why I'm just like, use Webtoons for whatever purpose that you can, like, squeeze out of them. But also be hustling in the background. Tell them Apollo said, yes, Kickstarter. Tell them Apollo said it. I'm here to use you, and I know you're here to use me, so let's just be transparent about this. What do you want? I'm not willing to concede on those things. I love how we always end up talking about contracts whenever I'm having a live stream. Like, we could never avoid talking about contracts. Universe said, my goal is Viz Media or Shonen Jump Plus, hopefully, or just good old self-publishing. Hey, I think you should look at all three options and see what works the best. Blue said, bro, I can't even imagine your comic under censorship, Nickie. Yeah, no, I want to know. Lord, Nickie, what is your comic? Leave it. I need to look it up. So go ahead and tell me the name so I can type it into Webtoons. I'm going to do that on stream. Clarice, hello. Glad you could make it on the stream. I'm really excited everybody was able to make it for Monday. I know it was a reschedule. Should Mondays be our new stream day? I'll have to do a poll and you guys can let me know. Blue said, yeah, I've seen several peer pages taken down for really dumb things that within context make total sense of what's happening. Universe said, what I mean is like some of the originals have really harmful characters being glorified just because they are women. But like if a guy did it, people would riot. But it's okay because it's a girl doing it. Woo, okay. That is leaning in towards the conversation that I'm like, do I want to comment on this stream? Like this stream will be derailed 100% if we go down that route. But I just want to say, oh look, Article's comic. I don't know why whenever I type in Webtoons now, it always takes me to your comic. It desperately is like, make sure to read Article's comic, y'all. So let's look up Nickie's comic. Nickie says it is No Strings. Is it with an S? Oh, I typed 2 T's. Just No Strings? I'm seeing like a lot of... Is this it? Oh, yep, Novelist Nickie. Wait, I think I've seen your art before. Oh, fun. When Sophia Black shows up late for work, her life gets turned upside down as she discovers her boss has been murdered. Ooh. With a killer on the loose and her own demons to battle, she finds 2 men trying to save her for very different reasons. Not a love triangle. Will the killer catch her, or will her demons lead her to make bad choices? Make the bad choices, girl. Choose choices that could end up permanently damaging her or someone she cares deeply for. Updates every other Friday. Ooh, am I going to be binge reading this, Nickie? Yes, I shall. Yes, I shall. Okay. We didn't even make it through this comment, but I don't want to like harp on it too long. But just to refocus, my point of all of this is that Webtoons isn't great. Webtoons isn't always the best, but it seems it's our only option at the moment. So just create whatever mental barrier you can and use the platform to your advantage. Because even creators who have big followings on other platforms, it's not translating to their comic. This individual had 42K on their Instagram and people just weren't interested in that. So we really have to build our own fan base. And that's all I wanted to say. So let's look at the other article I had in mind. This one. Why are people quitting Webtoon? This was so crazy that I found this. I have to link this down below as well. But oh my good grief. We've got more comments. I wasn't paying attention. Universe said, my comic's name is Mermaid's Dagger. My others are Crimson Strings and Goodbye for Now, if anyone is curious. I'm on hiatus right now. Okay, Universe, since we talked so much about your comic, just tell me which one and I'll pull it up while we're on stream so we can look at it. I promise I'll do that. Just remind me when we get to our question and comment section. And I missed the comment. Oh, Lowe's said, it's curious that I used to get 200K views when posting every week and get $100 to $120. On Patreon with 10 members, I got 60. It's simple math in the end. Yeah, I agree with that. The reason The reason the Reddit post warns us we would lose fans/slubs is because the age range readers between 15 to 20, and most people don't have a credit card. That's interesting too. Los, I saw your comments earlier and I just didn't want to not say them because I thought they were really insightful. So thanks for sharing. Oh, Millie, hello. Thank you for joining the stream. Let's see. Okay. So looking at this article, what I really wanted to focus in on, which if you have time, I would definitely say, give this a read. It's really insightful in my opinion. It is from a competitor from what I can tell. So obviously they're doing this because they want you to join their app. But I will say, just go into this with an open mindset and determine what you deem to be true. It says, as Webtoons has become increasingly popular, there is one platform that dominates the market. Webtoons, the one that we're talking about, like the Naver Corporation. It plays host to majority of Webtoon creators and readers. Yet, recently, the platform has come under fire from creators and readers alike, thanks to censorship scandals, low creator compensation, and disputes over rights. So, why are people quitting Webtoons? Let's dive into exactly what is making so many creators lose faith in their webcomic titan. And this is kind of what I was saying this is affecting both Canvas and originals. So it's not the grass is greener sort of situation. So censorship, compensation, and then the dispute over rights. And so you can click here. These are all the subtopics. And so just to highlight a few of them, it's talking about creators not being able to earn money, profit versus production, creators can't meet the revenue thresholds, creators have no access to their own data, creators raise censorship concerns, Webtoon original creators lose their creative rights. So let's dive into the first subtopic. It says creators can't earn enough money on Webtoons. Webtoons are a huge expanding industry. The biggest Webtoon creators have snatched up lucrative Netflix deals, as in the case of Heartstopper, become New York Times bestsellers like Lore Olympus, and garnered millions of followers, allowing creators to build a profitable business for their work. So what's interesting about this is the Heartstopper creator was never a Webtoon original. But let me tell you, when that creator started popping off, was Webtoon advertising that it was on their platform? They sure were, because they're a business. See, Webtoons, if you have enough power within yourself, you can really dictate the terms. Like, now that the Heartstopper creator has this amount of power, like when they go into a room, they don't have to just take whatever they can get. They can walk away and say no. And so the other side knows that as well. And that's why I'm saying we really need to focus on building our own platform, because it puts us in positions to get better deals for ourselves. Imagine if you are already making, let's say, $15K a month from producing your Webtoon, and Webtoons comes to you and is like, we would like to offer you $800 a week or per episode to post on our platform. Do you think that person who's making $15K is going to say yes to that? No, they have to make something that's going to be insightful to them, insightful. It has to be beneficial to them, that's going to allow them to make those choices, to work with them. So then it really becomes a partnership. So let's keep reading. We're going to skip to the profit versus production. There are two different types of Webtoon creators: those who have a contract with Webtoons, called Webtoon Originals, and everyone else whose work is published on Canvas. But according to some original creators, their Webtoon income isn't enough to sustain the production of at least one episode a week as they're contracted to do. This was one of the complaints levied at the company by Chase Keels and Miranda Mundit. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correct, so I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. So So they're the creators of Lovebot, and I remember when this scandal went around as well. It was so juicy. So in their open letter, they said, creators cannot pay rent, feed themselves, or handle their life's responsibilities if they create less than 4 episodes per month, nor can they get any other side jobs because 40 plus panels of work takes up too much time to allow for it. In one particularly viral Reddit post, an anonymous original creators revealed that in order to produce the level of content Webtoon required of them, they were working over 70 hours a week. So we touched on this article in that, I can't remember the title of that stream, but so if you're interested in watching that, we really broke this down, really looked into it, but it kind of boiled down to the fact that these people were making $5 an hour after everything, which is not a reasonable wage for any human being. I promise you, if you do the math, like if you do not have bills and you do the math, because you might be like, oh, $5, that's not bad to live my dream. I'm sorry, it is. You are a valued person. Don't run the market down by accepting $5 an hour. I'm sorry to say that. Okay, so the minimum revenue threshold hasn't just plagued original creators though. So it says Webtoon creators can't meet revenue thresholds. Webtoons has a few programs in which they share revenue they receive from FastPass and ads. However, the profit will only be released to creators once their comic has reached a set level of revenue or views. While only originals can access the FastPass system, anyone publishing on Canvas can apply for Webtoon's ad revenue share program. But not everyone is eligible. As Webtoon creator Gabriella I don't know how to say her last name and I don't want to butcher it, shared on her website, in order to get a share of ad revenue, comics must get a minimum of 1,000 subscribers and 40,000 monthly views. Even then, creators will only get 50% of the profits, and that's before additional fees, which Webtoon can also charge. So you get less than 50%. That's crazy. So if I made $100, that means I only get $50, but then you might also add some service charges, add a little tax on there. That's insane. 40,000 monthly views is a lofty goal for new creators, especially as the platform has become... Oh, my brain is blanking on how to say the word. Inundated with comics. Because Webtoons hasn't built a discovery feature ensuring new comics will be seen by readers, uploading to Webtoons is like pouring a sippy cup into an ocean of content. Yet, until you get those monthly views or you get headhunted by the editorial team to become an original author, you won't get paid for the work you've done. And I'm sorry, I missed a comment. So Universe said Webtoon either needs to see the potential through your comic organically or through your promotional stamina on social media and how it goes with audiences and engagement. I honestly think I only got big because I didn't shut up and kept tagging everyone at Webtoon when I promoted my comic for the first year of my comic. Was also posting weekly too. Not doing that anymore though, because that was rough without a buffer. Yeah, we can understand. It's hard work, I promise. Oh, welcome back, Blue. So let's continue to read. And of course, original authors are also subject to minimum revenue thresholds before they see any of the money that Webtoons is making from their comic using FastPass system. And Kills and Mundit point out in their open letter. It's not only getting harder and harder to make minimum number due to the lack of Webtoon actively promoting the comics, but it refreshes at the beginning of each session. Why is Webtoon constantly changing what even counts towards that threshold and thus making it harder to reach at all? Either Webtoon legitimately remains ignorant of the huge impact this makes on creators' ability to support themselves, or they are deliberately employing predatory practices. So I do think that it's kind of crazy that if I think that that should be something in your contract. And if it needs to be amended, since we know of it, like if Webtoon comes to you, you need to get information on what the thresholds for FastPass is, how it exactly works, put into your contract so you're not losing out on money. Like, I am so serious about doing your research about a company's practices. No company is going to be 100%, fair. So it's really, really, really important to me that creators really take their creative journey into their hand and really make sure to do research and focus on getting the best deal for them so that they can sustain themselves. And so when creators who are working in the same field as you release information like this, it's so important for you to read it so that you can know how to not make that same mistake. So let's continue to the next subtopic. Webtoon creators have no access to their own data. Interesting. When you are creating content on the internet, you need to know how the content is performing. Yes, I love my YouTube studio, YouTube. In order to make decisions that will help their webtoon get seen by more people, allowing them to exceed the revenue thresholds so they can get paid. Creators need data on how webtoons are interacting with their comics. Webtoons does not give creators access to this data. This has become a major point of friction for creators, which the Lovebot creators detail in their letter to Webtoon. Without being able to see the data on readership and performance for themselves, creators have no way of knowing if they're being paid fairly, and some have discovered that they aren't. Ever since the introduction of the minimum revenue threshold, we have felt taken advantage of and even frequently deliberately lied to, as we simply have to take them at their word without any concrete information. I will not name creators in order to protect them, but some have begged, threatened, and pleaded for months to be given access to their numbers only to realize they were due money. Webtoon, failing to acknowledge that it happens, has bred distrust in many of us as to whether or not the minimum revenue threshold is being calculated fairly or correctly. How many of us are due FastPass and don't know it. So, yeah. If we just take a minute to pause there. Whenever information is based on money, whenever there's information that you need to acquire to receive money and a company won't give it to you, that would really upset me because this is your livelihood. And so I don't understand why, if they weren't ready to roll it out, why roll it out and it's not beneficial to the creators. It's really insane. Blue said they really need to pay for assistance for original authors that doesn't come out of the author's own paycheck. I agree. This is another thing that if I was in those Webtoon board meetings, I think it would be so awesome for Webtoons to have like a community board to apply to work with them, like become a part of their artist network, and they pay you, money to assist artists or help artists. Like the original creators would just have access to it and they could figure out what's going to really work for them. And so that's another way of Webtoons like building up the art community. And then they could even have writers that are in their network where it's like, okay, DC approached us. They want us to make a story about, Superboy, but we have an artist, but we don't have a writer. And so then it's really growing the ecosystem of their own business. So, I'm just telling y'all, if I was in these board meetings, I would be like shouting all of my ideas at the rooftops. I would be fighting for us. Although I feel like being a corporate person would really limit me, but I'm just saying, like, I see dollar signs, to be honest. Like, let me just be honest. I see so many ways to grow profits that I just don't understand why things are not being enacted, because none of this requires any money on their part. Like, everything is kind of like oh yeah, y'all do that and we'll benefit. So I'm just like, I don't understand. I'm sorry. Like I'm on this hill and I'm just like, I can't like not. I just can't understand why. It just doesn't make sense to me that a company wouldn't do what's in its best interest to make more money. Because they're making more money, then they can afford to pay people more, which means they can afford a lot of the things that we always discuss. Marketing, for one. Universe said, not really sure if this is 100% factual, but I heard that Webtoon advance pays per episode in the beginning, and the author doesn't get paid more until FastPass reaches the advance pay, then they earn. Like, they still get paid per episode, but the FastPass isn't something they get automatically, if that makes sense. I heard this a while ago, so it may be different now. Interesting. I could actually see that. I could see that from Webtoon's standpoint. If they gave you an advance, it kind of gives them enough time to see how good your series is, and if they limit it for a little while before you can reach the FastPass threshold. Now, if they're actively working against you from meeting that would like blow my mind, because I'd be like, what are y'all doing? Why aren't you helping me to make you more money so that I can make myself more money? So I don't know. Novelist Nickie said, huge red flag if you don't get to see your numbers, especially if you're getting paid. Agreed. Universe said, yeah, you need to have access to your analytics to be able to grow and see what you're doing right or wrong. I 100% agree. I'm still learning a lot more about like digital business. It still kind of blows my mind. Like, I don't necessarily understand how things completely go viral. So I need to do some research on that for myself, like just the concept of it. I'm sorry, I'm getting on like a little business tangent here, but I feel like being able to implement a lot of that into Webtoons could really help more creators. Like, if we can crack the formula on being able to make certain series go viral, we could really help support more people, because everybody's just trying to live the dream of being able to do their own creative endeavors, but also do it for a living. Oh, thank you, Shay. I try to be a little business savvy. I love me some business schooling and business textbooks. Oh, magnetic salt, you should do consulting. Yes. Let me consult. Let me type up my resume and send it to Webtoons now. Oh, Millie. Millie said, yes. Oh my God, I'm so happy you are covering this topic because it's so important. I've been posting my Webtoons since late 2022 and made a nice amount of funds for my first couple of months. I guess they made ad revenue changes and I was getting close to nothing. So yes, I did end up just straight up quitting my webcomic. Many are very upset at me for this, but it's even more stressful when folk in the comment section on my Webtoons Webtoons to hurry like I'm on an original creator schedule. Oh, gotcha. So people are asking you to come out with the next episode much quicker than what your schedule allowed for. I understand where it comes from a reader perspective, and I kind of look at it as a compliment. I know it can be a little annoying because you feel like you're not fulfilling, but it just means people are really invested in your series and you're telling something good. Like, I think if people are not clamoring for your next episode, then it's kind of, am I doing this right? Am I a good storyteller? Like, I totally get where you're coming from, and I know that it's probably did add some pressure to it, but, you know, this is why I think I would love for creators to be able to have like more platforms where they can interact with their audiences more, to just let them know what's going on. And I know Webtoons has like that thing on there, the creator profiles or whatever, but just because I feel like sometimes creators, they don't understand the difference between originals and canvas, and they don't understand that you're not making enough money to do this full time. They just there for a good time. Like, they're there for a good story. So I would just say, you know, in future, don't let it get you down. Like, we are here for the good stories, Millie. So I hope that in the future you pick up Webtoons again and you start making a really awesome story that I can read. I'm getting so many suggestions tonight. I can't wait till I get off the stream. I have a lot of stuff to read. Universe said, yeah, I feel that the standard Webtoon creates this hard and almost toxic work environment for Canvas creators trying to keep up and stand out by posting weekly. Readers often don't see the clear difference between Canvas and originals unless you spell it out for them and to be honest with your readers. I always was telling my readers, chill, it's coming. I'm only one person. Please understand I'm on my own, and they chilled out. Yeah, I really feel that. And I know they're excited and whatnot, but there is a little bit of, this is where I feel that sometimes it's not good for creators to have access to comments, because it's like, okay, just don't worry about it. Like, listen, if y'all need a publicist to like go through your comments for you, I got you. I'm gonna just go through them and be like, nope, there was nothing there. Just keep making the episode. Nope, no one's asking for it to come any quicker. So what I'll say about this though is that's why I really am trying to develop this community here to like really put forth people and their stories more, and hopefully like as more people join our community, we'll be able to support each other. And I feel like a lot of people have similar stories and similar experiences, and it just helps that we kind of can build this network so that we all know that we're not alone, sort of situation. Man, so I need to get back to looking at the article. I'm sorry, there's so many comments in the chat right now, but I want to get through this, and then I want to kind of wrap up where we are and just, move, because we're going on for a long stream tonight. So Webtoon creators raise censorship concerns. Webtoon has also caused tension with its creator community thanks to its strict yet vague content policy. This has led some high-profile creators to quit Webtoon entirely, citing draconian policies and even censorship. The biggest name on the list is Mungi, author of Let's Plays. We talked about Mungi earlier. Also, Mungi, if you would like to come and interview with me, I would love it. I would love to have you on the stream, and I'm sure the chat would too. Who quit the platform in 2022. In a post on her website, Mungi cited many reasons for her departure, chief among them being that she felt she was being unfairly penalized for having adult content while other series were left unrestricted. There have been ongoing difficulties for several years, most of which I can't discuss, nor is this the appropriate form. But some concerns include placing LP behind an age gate when there are series with far more controversial content that isn't restricted. And she's not the only one. Jenny, author of the popular comic Susytako, found working with Webtoon to be impossible, even as a Canvas creator, and she revealed on her YouTube channel, despite being a popular creator who successfully makes a living from her comic, quit Webtoon because she felt her work wasn't welcome on the platform. It is genuinely too risky for me to keep putting an effort into that platform because my comic can be taken down at any time. The power is in their hands. They can just remove your stuff when they feel like it. All the work you have put into it will be gone. Abrupt takedowns have plagued many Webtoon creators, even when they attempt to abide by the content policy. This was the case for, oh my goodness, Pika Rose, another Canvas creator whose work was taken down several times. Webtoon's policy allows partial nudity as long as the most not safe for work areas are my brain is not working. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having a hard time reading tonight. subtly obscured in ways that are a natural part of the comic's imagery. This means that black bars, pixelization, and blurring are unacceptable ways to obscure nudity. However, despite obscuring those areas in multiple ways, in accordance with emails from Webtoons, Sprigga's Rose comic kept getting flagged. Ultimately, the popular creator decided to quit Webtoons. And Sprigga isn't the only one who has faced confusing communication and sudden takedown. Rosen Waters, the author of Canvas comic Netvor, was required to re-upload her comic because she had used image blurring, except she had blurred text for dramatic effect, not nudity. Despite an appeal, Webtoon refused to let her keep the blurred text, meant to convey a character's memory issues, saying it violated their policy. Ooh, now that's super crazy. I've never heard of anything like that before. Your comic was taken down for blurring the words? That's wild. Sorry, I'm checking the chat. Oh, a new person. Well, obviously, I have to read your comment. So, Rika said, yeah, I had to put my webcomic on hold, not because of comments, but because studying and being in my IT classes took most of my time since I want to pass. I always feel bad for leaving my readers on hold. Yeah, I mean, I understand. It's just we gotta be balanced. And, you doing good in school is what's important, Rika. So glad to have you here. Let's continue. Oh, and so here's the example. So this is their character talking to this character, and then apparently this was blurred here. That's wild. In each of these cases, creators face sudden takedowns and confused communication from Webtoon, which ultimately didn't clarify the content policy at all. And in the case of Mungi, Jenny, and Sprigga Rose, this led to the creators quitting Webtoon for good. So this is what I'm saying. Sometimes the best thing to do is to leave. So let's look at this last segment. Webtoon original creators lose their creative rights. So this was really interesting because I feel that Webtoons has always said that you still retain your creative rights. And I have often, preached like, oh, you're still, hold control over the IP. And this kind of illuminated it for me a little bit that yes, you still control it, but there's an asterisk. On top of all of this, even if you do manage to make it as an original creator, you aren't just locked into a rigorous publishing schedule. You also lose the right to publish your work anywhere else for 3 years after your contract lapses. This is why Mangi's exit from Webtoon was such a big deal. Fans were saddened to learn that there would not be another season of Let's Play because if Mangi wasn't publishing the title on Webtoon, she wasn't allowed to publish it anywhere else. Not only that, but because original creators have signed away digital distribution rights to Webtoon, they can't even put bonus content on their Patreon, a source of independent income not subject to Webtoon's fees, leading many creators to shutter their accounts. Of course, creators can always leave Webtoons and publish another title anywhere they want, but fans are often attached to one series in particular. Quitting and hoping to build a following independently while publishing a completely different title that people don't already know and love is certainly a gamble. And that's if you even make it in the first place, which, thanks to Webtoon being flooded with thousands upon thousands of comics, it's a very slim possibility, as Keels and the Lovebot creators pointed out. Overwhelmingly, the audience with quantity over quality only drives readers away and makes it that much harder for any comic to reach people, especially since it disables Webtoon's ability to promote their webcomics even if they wanted to because there are just so many. creators are reliant upon the app to get readers, but Webtoons hasn't built features that allow new readers to be discovered easily. At this point, posting your comic on an app that has fewer readers than Webtoon might mean that your comic gets more readers because they can actually find your work on an app with less content. Webtoons overcrowding might, ironically, end up being the silver lining to this whole story. So, what's interesting about this section in of itself is, they don't own the rights, but it says after it ends, you have a 3-year contract before you can do anything with the IP. And so depending on the contract, that's just Mongi's contract, is the context that I'm understanding from this post. So I'm saying, Webtoons might start telling people, here's a 10-year contract. You can't do anything with this after the series ends 10 years later. And let's say you're telling a long-form story. Your story ends 20 years from now. You're in your 50s, and then you have to wait 10 more years to be able to produce the story, on another platform or in another medium. So I'm just saying, this is why the contract that you get is so important. Lou said, it must mean whoever was doing the monthly targets of Webtoon Canvas was in a bad mood. Oh, yeah, who knows what was going on. Rika said, what? We saw way worse in other works, but a blur is what got them in trouble. And hello, I've been a silent watcher for a while. We love silent watchers that join the stream to chat. So exciting. Rika also said, not be shocked if it's a YouTuber that's sending their fan base to report webcomics they don't like. It happens. Yeah, it definitely, that's what I was saying earlier. Sometimes someone could be reporting you. You never know what's going on sometimes. So let's look at this last thing, and I just want to touch on it very briefly, just because we did get a lot of information from their article, so I feel like it's only fair, and I try to be a fair reporter, that we highlight what they really want you to take away from this article. The future of Webtoons, be they originals or canvas, creators are steadily losing faith in Webtoons, but this might not be a bad thing for the industry. Right now, Webtoon and the other industry titan Tapas have pretty much cornered the market. But as bigger creators become disillusioned and quit, while smaller creators seek smaller platforms so they can have a better chance of getting readers, this might lead to more diversity in the Webtoon space. As people are starting to quit Webtoon, smaller platforms are starting to spring up like Lemon and Zestworld. Instead of just uploading to Webtoons because they're the only game in town, creators are now uploading their comics to as many platforms as possible. This is why we developed Taddy, which uses an open source comic format to allow creators to publish their works on multiple apps at once. And so this is from Taddy.org, and that's really what they wanted you to see. I just wanted to highlight this because we were able to get a very nice discussion off of what they researched in their article. But if anyone wants to look into this app in further detail, that would be awesome. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, what you think about it, if it works well, etc. I'm going to try and do some more research on it on my own, and I'm going to include it in this month's news stream. So hopefully we can compare notes come the beginning of February on how Taddy works and if the app is even worth us looking into. Let's see. Hi, Blue. Or I should say there's two blues in the chat. So I'm going to say Kalia, hello. I just showed, but both of these people that popped up on Reddit lately are trying to get people to use their products. So they have a motive trying to sue Discord. Yeah, everybody has a motive. Like, I have a motive. Everybody has a motive in business. And that's why I'm like, more research needs to be done on this company. But I would definitely, or companies that they mention, and as well as this app. I'm sorry, I coughed like directly into the mic. I definitely would love to interview these people and then for us to be able to grill them about their platforms. I feel like that would be super fun. Let's see. Universe said rating bombs happen and unfortunately it's hard to avoid as long as there is a rating system. Yeah, the rating system, I have thoughts on that. Oh, Lord. I don't want to derail too much longer because I know it's turning into a long stream, but I just love talking to you guys. It's always so much fun. Hey, Joe. Good to see you. Oh, it doesn't exist? Interesting. Well, I'm done with this article. I'm going to pull the PowerPoint back up, but I just wanted to share those thoughts with you guys so that we can all be on the same page. And I thought it was a very interesting article. There was a lot of insights in it, and it really put a nice perspective on some things that I wasn't certain about. Things especially about the IP, how long you can't do anything with your own IP. That's kind of scary to an extent, but that's why I'm like, even if the contract is 100 pages, you need to read it, your lawyer needs to read it, your mom needs to read it, everybody needs to read it so you can get the best deal. All right, so with that, we're going to do our creator shout out. So the creator shout out for this stream is going to be Susytako. Their series is Loving Nonsense. It is a romantic comedy. All of the characters look so fun, and I love me a diverse cast. So the summary is, Kaz is a beautiful, feminine girl who has finally made it clear she is lesbian. However, no one can believe it because of how she looks. Vi is a socially awkward girl who dresses in the alternative fashion. She is the subject of tons of gossip, most of it about her being lesbian. However, she has no clue how or where those stories started. Sparks will fly when the popular girl collides with the shy outcast in this slow burn romance. Updates once a month. And I just want to say, this creator, I love all of the character emotes. It looks like every character has their own like unique color that's associated with them. And I just think it's so much fun to see a cool cast like this. So if you guys can, give Loving Nonsense all of the support, hearts, comments, whatever you want to do, check out the series. They are one of our awesome followers and I really appreciate them. Let's see. Adagong said it's Tuesday. Yes, I forget. You're in the future, Adagong. Universe said networking is crucial for any creator, especially with social media. Let me just tell you guys, networking is always my favorite part of any job. Like, I feel like I've gotten the most ahead at any job when I'm really social and really engaged with people and like what's going on with the company. So it is a skill to learn. And even if you're a little shy, just showing interest in others is a way to network. So it doesn't have to be anything grand. You don't have to make a 2-hour video or anything, but just, actively engaging with that person, maybe leaving comments or likes is a sure way to definitely get someone's attention, and possibly even sending them a DM and just telling them like, I really appreciate your story. I really appreciate what you're doing. Those can be easy ways to like start building a rapport with someone and networking. And I know some people are weird about DMs and whatnot. If somebody says don't DM them or don't send me DMs, respect that. But let me tell you, Apollo sends out DMs all the time to people, and I'd be shooting my shot like there was no shot left to give. So be like Apollo. All right, so I'm going to start wrapping up the stream. I really appreciate you guys. I'm going to go into my outro mode. So thank you so much for being here on stream. I really appreciate it. Love you guys. Our question to the community, so please leave your comment down below after the stream has ended. Why are you continuing to post on Webtoons? Maybe there was something that we didn't touch on. Maybe there's a secret reason that you haven't explained to me, but I would love to hear your strategy plan or why you're taking advantage of Webtoons in this way. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, leave us a like, a comment, and most definitely ring the bell. A huge thank you and shout out to our patrons. If you'd like to support us while getting some extra content we don't post on Instagram or YouTube, then head on over and check out our Instagram. Be sure to follow us on all our social media accounts. Link in the description. We are particularly active on Instagram, so if you want to chat with us, then feel free to pop on by. All right, I will catch you in the next video.